Hey, man, I just tell the truth.
Come on, man.
And they don't like that.
Report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those.
The only reason they say that is because we prop up Israel.
Other targets with precision, speed, and skill.
Joining me now in his first interview since the U.S. action is the Secretary of State of America, Secretary Marco Rubio. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here. Are we now at war with Iran?
He's going to say no, obviously.
No, we're not. This is not a war against Iran. This is very simple. 67 days ago, the President of the United States sent the Iranians a letter, and it said, you're not going to have nuclear weapons. You're not going to have a militarized nuclear program. Let's negotiate. I want to do this diplomatically. I want to do this peacefully. They tried to play him along the way they've played every American president for the last 35 years. And, the president told them, if we don't get a deal, which is what he wanted, then I'll have to handle it differently. And that's what he did last night. He handled it differently. But that was an Iranian choice. We didn't make that choice. They did. By playing games with Donald Trump, they made a huge mistake. President Trump acted last night. And I think the world today is safer and more stable than it was 24 hours ago. And a bunch of these...
What did I tell you guys? Did I not just say, 3 fucking hours ago when we're covering the Pete Hegseth, that this entire week is going to be damage control, saying that we're not going to war. The president warned them. He's been saying for years that Iran can't have nuclear weapons. Are you guys catching on to this? Right? Like, as you guys know, I follow a lot of conservative, big names in the conservative media space, right? I follow Crowder, I follow Kirk, all these guys, right? And I don't know if you guys noticed, right? There's one other person that noticed this as well, my guy Nick. But I noticed that Kirk, Crowder, and a bunch of other right-wing influencers that are huge, right? Benny Johnson, all these guys. Like right around last week, when we were unsure if Trump was going to attack, it's like they all said the same thing on Twitter. All of them pretty much said something to this degree. Trump's been saying for years that they can't have nukes. He's been saying it forever. He's been saying it for a decade. This is... if he attacks, it's not that big a deal. He's been warning them 60 days, right? And that's disingenuous and just like almost a lie by omission, right? Because what they won't tell you is that early in the talks, the Iranians were clear. We're not going to give up our nuclear program, right? We're not going to give it up. And the reason for that makes sense. We pulled out of the nuclear deal, put them on a terrorist watch list, destroyed their economy, made them go, we sanctioned the fuck out of them, right? And this was after Obama had secured the deal, right? And this is kind of something that kind of sucks about American politics, right? For at least if you're like a foreigner, right? And you're doing business with the United States. The president's word, if he's actually going to stick to it, really only lasts as long as he's in office. The next guy could come in and totally undo what the other guy did before, right? And that's something that that nobody really understands. So when it comes to diplomacy and working with other countries, guys, keep in mind that we're one of the few countries where presidents at max have 8 years, right? Dude, other countries, motherfuckers been ruling for decades, right? So dealing with the U.S. is kind of almost like a double-edged sword, because it's you might make an agreement with one president and then the next one comes in and rips it up. So again, right, I'm kind of spinning this here. So let's go back to what I was saying before. Now you guys understand. So starting last week, I noticed a trend where big political commentators were all coming out on Twitter saying, yo, Trump's been saying for years that Iran can't have a bomb. I trust the president. His judgment is sound. He knows what he's talking about. We got to stand by our allies, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of ran with that narrative, right? That Trump's been saying this for a minute. He's been saying it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I noticed that all the big right-wing MAGA influencers were all saying kind of the same thing in a very short period of time. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Whenever I see influencers in a certain niche, all saying the same shit, I'm like, all right, something's off here. And then on top of that, remember, guys, a lot of these dudes like know the Trump administration, got connections with the Trump administration, like been to the White House, know people, got the Trump on his podcast, like they know people, right? So the fact that all of them are saying the same thing was like the first red flag, right? Then, as we all expected, Trump bombs Iran, right? And then you got your boy Pete Hegseth at the fucking, literally, we saw this 3 hours ago. Oh, it was a precise mission. We only targeted the nuclear facilities. No one else died. We don't want war. We want diplomacy. But, they were dragging Trump on, right? Oh, they were playing games. They were stalling, all this other bullshit, right? And we told them 60 days. So the three things that they're relying on, right? The MAGA people. Let me tell you what they're relying on. Number one, Trump warned them 60 days ago. Number two, he told them they can't have nuclear weapons. And then number three, he's been saying this for like 10 plus years, right? And then also number four, it was a precise strike and that's all we focused on. So like they're running with this narrative like, oh, we're not in war. We did this because we had to. But what they're not saying is that like, we completely put them in that position by not being good diplomacy partners, right? Like we kind of got to take a little bit of accountability here where we violated a lot of our agreements too, right? And the other thing that's important is since we had violated our agreements before, when we came into negotiations with them, they didn't trust us. And I don't blame them because we attacked them. We let them get hit by the Israelis, right? If anything, we made them weaker because they thought, oh, we're doing diplomacy with the United States, we're not going to get attacked. And they did. So MAGA, what they're going to do is they're going to try to spin it. Get ready this entire week. They're going to say Trump warned them. Trump's been saying this for 10 years. They're going to say this isn't a war. They're going to say this is going to bring peace, all this other shit. So get ready for the propaganda for the next week, guys. But what they won't tell you is when we did the deal, Trump didn't come to the deal in good faith. And this is the key. When we did the deal and we started the process, we didn't come in with good faith. We came in, you can enrich uranium, but it can't be weapons grade. Cool. Let's continue talks. Comes back. Steve Witkoff. Sorry, actually you guys can't enrich uranium. Well, that's bullshit. Oh, also, we don't want you guys to have a ballistic missile program. Well, that's bullshit. And then basically they're saying the Iranians stalled for time. It was really us that stalled for time because now we know with the sophistication of the operation where Pete Hegseth was bragging for 30 minutes about all the capability, all they did, there's no other option but us coming to the negotiating table already planning to bomb them, chat. That's why we made such ridiculous demands. We literally told them, you can't have a uranium program, right? A nuclear program when they're part of the NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. So by law, they can have a nuclear program. And we told them they got to get rid of their ballistic missiles, dude. So what the fuck? And it's hilarious to me that like Marco Rubio's coming here thinking that we're stupid. The president told them 60 days ago that they can't have nuclear weapons. They can't enrich uranium. Like, no, dude, that was not how it first went off. And they were very clear from the beginning. They're not giving up their fucking nuclear program. Because, and you guys want to know how I know? You want to know how I know this? We had 5 rounds of talks. We had 5 rounds of talks. So the fact that we had 5 rounds of talks, just using common sense and deductive problem solving, tells me, and I know already the Iranians' position, they said no nuclear program is a non-starter. So they wouldn't even have began the negotiations had there not been some type of concession that they would be able to maintain their nuclear fucking program. See where I'm going with this, chat, in my analysis? So we came to the table already feigning diplomacy and lying. Because we told them at first, it's cool, you guys can keep it. Well, let's work around it. We could. But what they were doing is they were stalling for time. They were the ones stalling for time. Setting it up, now that I know their operation, how they ran it, the B2 operation, it's clear as day. Since Trump was sworn into office, he was planning to bomb Iran, bro. I just don't see any other, thing here. The negotiations were to buy time for the U.S. not the other way around. That's what it was. Because we're the ones that continued the negotiations. We're the ones that knew that not having a uranium program was a non-starter for the Iranians. We knew that going into the meetings. So we fucking lied and said, no, you can keep it. Then we slowly started to shift the deal back. As we started getting B-2 bombers ready, as we started getting our weapons ready, as we started planning how we were going to do this attack, as the Israelis were planning how they were going to do Operation Rising Lion, right? Now that Trump was in office and he would give them the green for that, they were planning all this shit out on Inauguration Day, bro. January 20th, they were doing all this shit. So in between Trump signing all these executive orders for the fucking cameras and shit like that, he'd go down in the fucking Situation Room and be on the phone with Netanyahu. Yeah, we're going to run this shit. Yeah, I know the Iranians said that they're not going to come to the table, you know, if we don't allow them to keep their nuclear program. So we'll tell them in the first 2 or 3 meetings they can keep it. And then we'll slowly start to tell them, nah, you can't keep it. And then that will allow us to have the justification to bomb them. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. This is what I think has been going on, bro. There's no other way. There's no other way. They wouldn't have made it to 5 rounds of talks had the U.S. been up front and said you can't have a nuclear program. Anyway, we're piecing it together, chat. We're piecing it together.